Greetings, scientists here. You're listening to Simmer Down 90.3 The Rock. Everyone, mutual respect to everyone.
Knoxville, beyond Jamaica, the world, the universe. DJ Crowley here with the Simmer Down radio program in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's Simmer Down live from home. And man, dub is reggae music's secret weapon, in my opinion. And we have Hopeton, aka Scientist, the dub master himself, in the house. If you didn't know, you should. You're late if you don't. But Hopeton worked in his father's electronics shop, which led him to meet a man by the name of King Tubby, almost just by chance. The two come together, and then the rest was history. Dub was born. Welcome, Hopeton.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of definitions of dub out there. Early on, I was always taught, by definition, dub is the reverberation of sound. I added on to it too. I said it's really also breaking a song down to its bones and then recreating it in a dub-wise style. Can you tell us, what is dub? What is your definition of dub?
Well, first off, dub is the first electronic music, right? And the definition of dub is a recomposition of whatever existing music. So you would recompose the song from its original order. Dub is not just a bunch of delays and reverbs and all of that. So that's the definition of dub: composing a song.
It's interesting. You answered another one of my questions there. I was going to say, let's get the record straight. Would there be electronic music without dub, you and Tubby and the originators?
No, because dub is the first electronic music. Everything else, hip hop, everything else come after.
There's
all that drum and bass, whichever one of them. And you don't, no one do have to take my word for it. You can go back and look at the discography of all the music of the world, and you'll find that dub is the first electronic music.
So you heard it right there. Dub is the first electronic music. Without dub, no electronic music. In your face, everybody that's ever told me that was not true. So give thanks to the greats like Hopeton, Scientist, Tubby, Scratch, everybody, because without dub, there would be no electronic music. We're going to talk about electronics and technology a little bit later on, but we're going to kind of do this interview a little bit different than I usually do. I myself am a radio DJ, a former tour manager, a concert photographer, and I love learning and hearing about how it all began with music, my musicians, artists, everything. So instead of me asking these questions coming up, I reached out to a lot of my favorite producers in the scene that really look up to you. One was a man by the name of Craig Welsh up in Boston. And he works with John Brown's Body, Giant Panda, Gorilla Dub Squad. And I believe you hung out with him this summer, correct?
I think so, yes. I'm the worst person with names. Forgive me, but I'm the worst person with names.
It's okay. It's okay. You know, sometimes we forget names. He wants to know, when did you find passion in your work, or is it just what you do for a living? Do you really love the dub, or is it a job?
Well. Here's what. There's kind of a misconception out there about just dub, right? And the role I played in reggae, which is broader than dub. For example, the sounds that the different studios end up with, including here in America. I'm the one who pioneered how to set up the drums, what to do with the different instruments, how to get them to sound. For example, um, if you're familiar with Channel One recording, right, the songs that come from here is one of the best studios in the world by far, right? It always had a good sound, but when I went there to join that team, whether it's King Tubby's Tough Gun. I use different recording techniques to capture the sound. And this is why you hear the drums and drum and bass so thick. Now I can do that within any music because I pioneered that. I just finished mixing a Paul McCartney track, Michael Jackson track, and Stevie Wonder, which I incorporate all those techniques that give it a new face. So,
Hmm.
um, not to stray from the question, people sometimes marginalize it and just believe it's just dub, just dub. But before you get to dub, the tracks have to be recorded a particular way that when you do the dub, it enhances the music.
So I see. So you're saying your passion is not necessarily dub, it's the everything, the engineering, everything that goes with engineering music. Does that make sense?
Yeah, engineered music. And to every dub track, there is a side A. For example, Barrington Levy or any of these artists, Michael Prophet, any of them, we mix the side A first, then immediately mix the dub side afterwards. We don't go back into the studio and say, okay, we're gonna create a dub. It never ever be that way. Like for example, Freddie McGregor, Big Ship. I was the one who engineered those and techniques and pioneered those techniques to get that particular sound out of the instrument. So before you reach the dub, the quality of the recording has to be superb. You're recording the vocals, there's a certain technique in which you have to use to record the vocals to enhance the whole dub experience.
Very, very interesting. And that makes so much sense. You know, it's not just the dub, it's really the passion of engineering music, all music, you know, like you said.
Well, well, also make no mistake. There's this thing out there that believe that other genres is a superior genre to reggae, which is not true. Based on the benchmark that I left in Jamaica, right,
Mhm.
I've been able to take whatever type of music and elevate it to a different level. For example, if you're doing certain type of music, you can get by with just about any sound system because of the way how people are accustomed to hearing it. But the benchmark that I left in Jamaica to get that real thick, heavy, fat, pounding drum and bass, you cannot bring a rinky dinky system
Absolutely.
because it would fall apart.
Well, I mean, you know, reggae music, I mean, and dub, you know, especially dub, it's the rhythm section. That's where it starts, right? Well, with the drums especially.
Yeah, yeah, the whole blend of everything after it's just like you cooking. You can't have too much salt or any too much of one spice. It's the same thing with music. It has to be a proper blend of all the different instruments. So To go back to the question is the engineering technique. At first, I'm an electronic engineer, so I know when either the speaker's off, the equipment not right, so I know how to fix it to get it right. I know to calibrate the speakers and calibrate the room, the acoustic, the everything to get it right. So I have a different way of doing things that proves results, and even up to the live concerts. Right, there's a particular way how I do things that has not been taught in the books.
You know
So
what? Hey, that's a perfect segue. We're going to talk about the live show versus the studio later, but let's talk about it now. Why not? I don't think there's no rules tonight. Only positivity and love for engineering and music and producing and all of that. I think we should just have no rules. So let's move on to what you were just talking about: live show versus working in the studio. You've always said it's always all about the feel. I totally agree with that. How do you feel music, and how is it different in the live show and the studio?
well, for me, there is not much difference because I know what to manipulate to get what I want. For example, if you show the Google Michael Prophet final show, unfortunately at the Dub Club, you can hear just about the same studio quality. But a lot of people at first, just like everything that I talk about at first, it sound like crazy. And then afterwards, 10, 30 years afterwards, sometime afterwards, then everybody catch on. The number one problem with live concerts, right, is the guitar amplifiers on stage, along with the monitors. And I remember back in 1970 something when I first tried to get musicians to use headphone, everybody laughed at me. And then 30 years later, for the same exact problem that I identified 30 years ago, caused by the monitors on stage, then now they have in-ear monitor because the problems with the monitors on stage they get everywhere. It gets into the vocal mic, it gets everywhere, and it creates this enormous phase shift that end up canceling the original signal. And then the monitors on stage, the house engineer can't really accurately blend what's coming from what's coming through the monitor the house system monitors because he's hearing both the guitar amplifier, the monitors on stage, and then the time difference between both of them. So by the time you get it, if you notice, some of these major artists playing instruments and you're not hearing it because hey, the stage is fooling the engineer, the guitarist, has the amplifier turn up so loud that by the time, so the engineer cannot accurately judge the proper proportion of both in volume and in tone. So when you go and listen at the right live recording, you're going to find all these problems. Now, I have a different way of doing it. I know exactly how to manipulate the stage and how exactly how to manipulate the monitors. So when you listen it, you hear the same as a studio quality.
That what you just said, feedback is, like I said, I was a tour manager, and feedback is the worst thing. And for everybody out there, any artist, you do a sound check for a reason. It's to get everything dialed in to an extent. So when you get on stage, you don't have to turn up your amp. You don't have to do any of that. And it is a very, very difficult thing for engineers and live engineers as well. And that is 100% right.
Well, again, a lot of the artists and what they've been taught for decades is what caused their own problem, but they're not conscious of it and they don't know. For example, the keyboardist only wants to hear his keyboard in his monitor, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, the engineer, because, it's a yin yang situation, you kind of have to give people what they want. So you only put the keyboard in his monitor. The horns player that is at the far left or right. Well, I only want to hear my horns in the monitor. So, okay, you give him his one more horn in his monitor. So what that creates right away, even though it's in milliseconds, the time that the keyboard get to travel from where the keyboard is to over where he is going to be slightly behind. Even if it's in milliseconds, which in turn cause a phase shift. The second problem is um, the monitors, instead of they multiply, they become parasites to each other. Because as you all know, the more speakers you have on a system, is the bigger the sound is and the more efficient it comes.
Correct.
Right? So instead of you having one plus one make two, then everything just get divided up and then you get these different time signatures because the drummer only want to hear his drum and then and all that. So they're not playing with a proper dynamic balance. That, for example, just imagine an orchestra if everybody was to get their own monitor. It,
Oh man, I don't even want to think about that. I hope they all have in-ears. No monitors, in-ears, in-ears, in-ears.
yeah,
300 of them.
hear what you need 300 of them, right? So again, it goes back to how the musician was trained to hear. For example, if I get a bunch of guys that play jazz, I can just dial in everything and walk away from the console.
Mhm.
Why? Because they play with the proper dynamic touch. So when you're looking at the orchestra, the conductor says, Baba, which is very soft, and then he play Baba, which is very loud, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
You find that the dynamic playing of musicians get invented, get corrupted at the birth of the electronic guitar. Because prior to that, right, everybody have to play with a certain dynamic level that they don't drown out the other person.
Right.
Right. So the loudest acoustical instrument is a trumpet. Right. So now
Huh.
you have an electrical signal from the electric guitar that that can pass the natural acoustical volume of a trumpet. Because you have two levels. You have an acoustical volume and you have an electrical volume, which is what the guitar is. So now we have the guitar player turn up his amp so loud on stage. So the trumpet player and everybody else now have to scream.
Hmm. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Exactly. I,
Because again, the natural way of playing because of the electronic instruments that been created, it ruined that natural dynamic touch how to play the instrument. Like sometimes the drummer will roll and the drummer will roll too loud
hmm
instead of
Yeah.
control roll where you just roll just enough to say that his roll is not louder than his side stick or whatever else he played. So that's part of it that I know to manipulate. But again, for it to work, you need the cooperation of the musician. Now you have some musicians will tell you, well, I've been singing like this with the mic to my stomach, to my belly, but since I've been singing in church, and you
Yeah.
cannot get them to put the microphone at the correct angle and come very close to the microphone. So it takes it. Music is a cooperative thing. It takes a team of people to work together to get the best results.
Mutual respect is something that you are very, very serious about. And I think that's a perfect example of it right there. The band is the band because it's a team. The studio is a studio because it's a team. The producer and the engineer, or the artist and the engineer. Uh, Tell us about mutual respect and how important it really is.
Well, mutual respect, it goes outside of music. It is part of everyday life. For example, where I grew up in Jamaica, was I walk out my house and a couple feet ahead there was the nice clean ocean.
Ooh,
Right.
nice.
So not sure if anybody familiar with Harbor View, but I find I have to go into the hood,
Right, right, right.
right, to start my career both at Channel One and Tubby. So I see other people come around here and they get their butt kicked within a couple of days because they bring the uptown mentality. I'm better than you. I have on better clothes than you, and whatever, whatever. So you find that people don't like that person because you're coming around a bunch of poor people, people who less fortunate than you, and you one will sit and eat and don't even offer anybody. And I personally, if I can't offer anybody something to eat, when I'm eating, I just don't eat around them. So I've been trained to don't matter what kind of job the person is, what that person do, doesn't care about the complexion, the skin color. Everybody get exactly the same respect.
It's very important. It's very important. You know, I personally have never met you, Hopeton. I've always been a big fan, especially of dub in general, and what you've done for it, and what you've done for engineers and producers all over the world. And I just kept here. I don't know you, so I have to do a bunch of research, even though I know a little bit. I always really, really do my homework when it comes to these interviews because it's not an interview, it's a conversation. And in order to conversate with somebody, especially somebody you don't know, it's all about making the situation cozy and comfortable. And mutual respect is something that just kind of resonated in my ears over and over. You've said it in a few interviews, but I think that was an interesting, different perspective on, with talking about Jamaica and kind of uh, how what mutual respect was, in Jamaica and still is.
Yeah, mutual respect, as I said, goes outside of entertainment. There are a few entertainers, both in TV and the different genres. And when you hear some of the staff talk about how they get treated poorly, right, then
Hmm.
it's not a good thing because you need everybody. Don't care how much money you have. Um, you're a king, you're a Jeff Bezos. Hey, you need somebody to clean your toilet.
Right.
You, you don't have the time to do it. So you have to give that person the same respect because you're dependent. In Microsoft, you can't run a business all by yourself. You need everybody to make it becomes a successful company. So
Correct, correct, correct.
yeah, so but again, some people here's what some people needs to remain poor
Ooh.
because if you because if they don't have mutual respect and you put the money power into them hand, the only thing you'll be creating is a Frankenstein that you cannot control.
There you go.
And
That's correct.
I've seen it happen numerous times in the music. Is you have somebody off the street come from dirt poor, and next thing you know, they start to get a little fame, and then they forget where they come from. And one of the first thing I learned is same people who make you is the same people who can break you.
Mm.
Right? So you find you put those people and give them money power. Well, the only thing some of them going to do is to break the law more and try to get more powerful lawyers to get them off them crime because they have the money to pay the expense. And you just create a mess. We see that in a few genres here in America. Instead of them use that money and put it to something useful, is all about the banging, disrespecting women, blah 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 blah, and the list goes on. So when you're an entertainer and you're a person of influence, you have to be careful what you put in people's mind because you see people look up to you,
Correct. Yes.
right? And when you're a role model, you need to make sure that the influence that you put in people's head is not what's going to degrade society.
You must practice what you preach,
Yeah.
especially in this family we like to call reggae music. It's rebel music, of course, but it is about getting through tough times and finding positivity. Am I right?
Yes, but you find nowadays, here's what, in all the genres, any one of genres, all of them is in decline. You have no more Aretha Franklin, you have no more Smokey, Marvin Gaye, and when you listen to what's going on in music now, is the engineers that making a bunch of these artists sound like they can perform because what in all the genres is the composition, the musical compositions, the songwriters in decline.
Mm-hmm.
The morality of the overall people of the world is in decline.
Hmm.
So the Hollywood and the music industry needs to take a look at itself and try to figure out a way how to create content that not include some of the violence and some of the profanity, like what you see we have here now. And then when I did a study, right, where I get a group of people and conduct an interviews. I have a bunch of books, videos, and different media. You put them in a room and I'm observing them through a one-way mirror. So all the people who act a particular way, they're listening to certain movies, they're looking at certain videos,
Mm-hmm.
right? All the troublemakers they're listening to the same exact type of music. They're looking at the same exact type of music. All the professional people, they're listening to a different type of music and to they're looking at a different type of movie. So I came to the conclusion that the influence that the media has on society is not necessarily the best influences have. So I want somebody else to do a peer study, a broader study on what I concluded for myself, how the media and politics influence the society.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms. This world is full of all kinds of evil, disguised in supposed good ways, and vice versa. And I think, Hopeton, you have a very, very interesting, hopeful, and generous attitude towards life. Hey, real quick, if you're just tuning in, you're really late. We are chatting with the one, the only, the dub master, scientist, Hopeton Brown. Man, how can people find more info on what you're doing right now? Just real quick.
Facebook, um, Facebook. I'm not so much into the social media. 'Cause my life, when I get up in the morning, is doing electronics, and every now and then I'm on social media. But for the most part, you can find some clips when I find time, I send it to my publicist, ask them to put this on social media. So that's on Facebook.
Yeah, and I was Instagram at you have two tags at on Instagram. Is that correct? At scientist dub and at the scientist dub. Is that correct? I couldn't remember exactly what it was.
Like, to be honest, I have not been on Instagram 2020. I'm the dummy of Instagram.
Scratch that one, everybody.
I'm the same where you find me. Probably you go put out the link because I noticed while I was doing my electronics, I see some notification coming about Instagram, and I think you're advertising show. So that seems to be the correct one. Yeah.
All right.
But
Yeah. I'm really digging your energy. I watch a lot of your interviews and a lot of the media that is covering you with the exception of Root Fire and Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad. That one, shout out to them. Is very just like, man, let's talk about all this like hate and how you're wrong or whatever. No, you're not. I'm sitting here talking to you right now, and you're just such a light. Hopeton. So,
yeah, well, we live in a polarized world, and I learned to understand is not what I like, but is what other people like. Because you could cook a very delicious dish to you, or you could make some music, and to you it sounds perfect, and everybody say, "Oh, I don't like it." I know hear songs. Still, I hear songs that I mix more than 20 years ago and still don't like it, but other people like it. So, let them have it.
absolutely. Hey guys, if you are just tuning in, again, you're late. Scientist in the house, the dub master. I still can't believe it, man. It's just incredible to be talking to you and we've lost so many of the greats and I'm sure over the years, you've watched them fade by as well. And one of those being Mr. Lee Scratch Perry, man. I wanted to ask you how would you describe Lee Scratch Perry as a person?
Eccentric person, at no means crazy. I can give you a joke. Once we were in Jamaica, back in the late 70s. So Scratch always dressed up like a crazy person. So this person that was selling on the sidewalk, this vendor accused Lee Perry of stealing because he dressed like a crazy man. He had some bananas tie on his head. So the
Mm-hmm.
police came. Yeah, it's Steve from, but the man had about $50,000, and the police said, "What type of madman you are?" You just put on that act. But here's what. Yeah, well, I'm quite sure people ask this question: why people die, right?
Right, right.
Just imagine if nothing ever died from day one. As
Ugh.
it is now, the world resources is running thin.
It wouldn't work.
You'd be crawling on top of people.
That's the name of the next scientist crawling on top of Dub.
And then again, just imagine if some people couldn't die, like a man like Hitler. Suppose those people couldn't die. You imagine the miserable world that we would have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And
Yeah.
it's just that's a good point. But it is just so sad to see the the uh the ones that started it all with dub and reggae with Tyrone of the Whalers, passing away the other day.
Well, the way I look at it, Earth, for all I know, this could be hell. No one can ever actually come back and say, yes, I was dead and I was there. So for all I know, this could be hell, or this could be just a test ground.
Hmm.
So I believe in recycled life. So practice how to come back in the next life and to continue on whatever I was doing.
Yep. No, I agree with that. Moving on here, man. Really, I just wanted to talk about, scratch and then getting into the idea of death in general is just another way to think about it. I think that's what you do. It's another way to think about things, and that's really, really, really inspiring. So speaking of that, what draws you to an artist? If you want to work with an artist or artists in general, what draws you?
Well, here's what I reached a conclusion in my life. You could be a great artist, but you're a horrible human being. Your moral compass is off. So you know what, man? Yeah, the guy can sing, but the guy is so disrespectful to everybody. I don't want to work with him. I'd rather to work with somebody nowadays. Okay, yeah, well, a reasonable good talent. Let's his head is his level. He's not breaking the law. He's not okay. All right, so I'm not going to create a monster.
Mm-hmm.
So um I rather work with those type of people. So that's what draw me to an artist. One, talent. Two, moral compass. And I know that I'm not going to create a Frankenstein.
Hmm. I've got my 3 points too. That's interesting that you said that. Number one, you got to be talented. You just have to. I mean, that's part of it. Number two, you got to be something unique and different. And number three, just like you said, you got to be good people. You got to be good people. You got to be kind. You got to practice what you preach. So, what an interesting answer there. I think we have some more similarities than we thought. One of those that you just recently worked with that I've fallen in love with is Hempress Sativa. We got the vinyl scientist meets Hempress Sativa. It is just the warmest, most dirtiest, most beautiful dub I've heard, modern dub in a while. Tell us about working with her.
Yeah, going back to what I said, is a level-headed person. She's a good person, easy to work with. And again, music and the world is a team, Should be team player, because unfortunately, some people in the world, they're not team players. So
Yes.
Empress Sativa should meet all the criteria that I describe. A good person, have a good moral compass, and not going to promote violence or help to pervert the world.
She is absolutely becoming one of our favorites. If you're out there, Empress Sativa, I don't know your real name, but I'll find it out someday. We want to chat with you as well, and just
I can
she
put you in touch.
just give her a shout on your scientist phone.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah, man. I dialed them up.
I'll put you, I'll put you in touch with her
Be
people.
wonderful. So that was one of my personal favorites as of recent. Um, and now I want to go back to these quotes. So Ian Young is one of my favorite producers. He is very, very much inspired by you. He's out of Imperial Beach, California, just right. I mean, you can see Mexico literally from his doorstep. And he is just, it's always been a really good friend of mine, like you were saying, good people. And he's also a musician and all that. And he actually sent me a voice message that I'm going to play for you. If you can't hear it, we'll figure it out. But this is what Ian Young wants to ask you.
Yo, greetings. This is Ian Young. My question for scientist is on the Jacqueline dub by Human Dell. the dub session, Jacqueline Dub. How did you get the synth sound that was like woo, woo, woo? What is that exactly? Been trying to achieve the exact thing. I think it's a synth or a processing. Please let me know. Would mean the world. Thank you. Legend.
Oh, it's a combination of the filter and when you take the tape machine, when you put that magnet tape and you don't put it in play and you just use your hand and turn it back and forth, it gives that sound.
He's one of your biggest fans, and he's such a talented producer. And like I was saying, if you guys are just tuning in, you're late. We know it, whatever. But we're having a really long chat with Hopeton Brown, aka Scientist, the dub master, one of the originators, if not the originator of what we like to call dub. And not only it is the dub, but he's engineer, man. It's his passion, engineering. So Ian wanted to ask you that. So he's going to be super stoked on that one. And Johnny Cosmic, stick figure, works or plays in stick figure band in the US. It was just blowing up. Also has come on the scene as a just powerhouse producer. And he had a little bit more of a broad question. What kind of atmosphere and inspirations created the ideas for dub music with like you and Tubby, just you two back in the day?
That's kind of a trick question. For me, I got inspired by Tubby's without any doubt. Right. And
Mhm.
from my atmosphere, I was learning how to build amplifiers. And I came across Tubby's record and became like a final test of the amplifier. That's what inspired me. If it was up to a particular place or atmosphere, then when I come to America, I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
So it's not so much the environment. You don't have. Some people believe you have to be around crime and all that. No,
Mhm.
I heard that one before, but for me, no. My inspiration is good musical composition.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's good musical composition. You know, it's pretty simple and right to the point, but it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, yeah. I say sometimes. I get the amplifier is not what I like. So you have people sometimes comes to me, the big something. Okay, the musical composition is weak, but should I turn them away and say I don't want to mix it or still try my best at it? Sometimes I try my best at it and they like it, but again, when sometimes people don't come to you with good musical composition, you can only do so much and no more.
Mm-hmm.
So the musical composition have to be there. You have to have the right players, the right musician, and then the sky can be the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys are, wondering kind of what is happening in this interview, it's definitely different. We're doing it a little bit different this time because every interview we do, again, it's an interview, not a conversation. But what we try to do is really uh, find the energy of the artist or engineer or whoever we're talking to, and really sit in that energy and create that energy around. And this one, like I was saying earlier, I am not an engineer or a producer. I'd love to learn how to do it. I do know a little bit from the road and that feedback and the monitors, as you were saying earlier. But I think it's cool to have these quotes from people that love you, that are accomplished producers and engineers in their own, and
Well,
because of you.
let me say this. If you're having a heart problem, you go to a heart doctor. If there's something wrong with your brains, you go to these various type of doctors that specialize in certain areas. I am building equipment. I have a guy who do graphic and design the chassis. I know a little bit about it, but I don't need to know it all.
Hmm.
Right. You have is a teamwork of people. So your part of the team is what you're doing now because without people like you, there would be no broadcast and whoever who didn't know about me before, now they get a chance to know about me by what you're doing. So the world it should be team players. But I wanted to go off the subject a little bit where I think is very important. I've been all
Absolutely.
over. I've been all over the world, and I'm always glad to come back to America. Right? America for
Interesting.
me is the number one place to live. But here's what I find happening: the politicians of the world is what I start to see as one of the main problems. Oh, my bomb is bigger than your bomb.
Right, right, right,
I
right.
can blow up your, I have more bomb. This, that. They spend all this money on
Ugh.
the military complex where damn all that money that they spending if they could have just randomly go around and drop everybody $100,000. So it'll pay off a bunch of people that got one bomb, bam, to blow up, massive destruction.
Boom. Yeah, I mean,
You not only kill wildlife, you kill plants, you kill insects, you kill everything. $100 million a bomb. What? Come on, man. Find 100 people and give each one of them $1 million. And these politicians, they can always find these money to fight these wars indefinitely. So you say,
I didn't think we are going to go in this direction, but I love it. I don't know what to think about it, after the I call it the jamdemic, because
damn them. Well,
it's a jamdemic. Yeah, I mean, it was the pandemic for sure. It was a horrible situation, but then you look at our family within the music industry. It's a jamdemic. We're not jamming.
but listen, please. The pandemic you see happened the other day is not so much of a bad thing. So I come to the conclusion maybe it's a good idea. Every couple of years, Earth does have a lockdown. No cars, no nothing. Everybody just stay at home. Because here's why. Wildlife start to come back. The atmosphere get cleaned up.
Yep.
The ocean start to get clean again. But you find that we live in a money driven world. It's all about the money, the money, the money, the money, the money, money, rather than creating a world. Because here, most people they just want to be able to have somewhere to live and somewhere to eat, something to eat.
Hmm.
Right? But we live in this money driven world that everything is about the money, the money, the money, money. You have a house, you have to work forever to finish pay it off. And when you don't finish pay it off, you get stuck with these taxes if you want to keep it. So it's like somebody have a gun and put you in and say, hey, buddy, if you want to keep this house, now you have to pay me. I understand that and agree that people should pay some taxes because we need essential services like fire, water, clean the streets, so forth, so forth, so forth. But
Correct.
again, it becomes corporatized where when you look at all the people who making live the cost of living so expensive for I go back to mutual respect for the school teacher, the bus driver. Yeah, these houses selling for 500,000 $1 million for a single family house. How would the school teacher, the bus driver, and police officer go afford that? Their salary doesn't afford them to do that. So create a system where everybody can live.
Yep. Wouldn't that be nice? It's I hate money. I hate
Yeah,
it. I have
well,
always hated it.
no.
Always.
Money can be a good thing, because here's what: the more money you have, is the more people you can help. But the problem is you have some greedy people. They have already enough grapes that will take them 100 lifetime before they even reach a fraction of it. but they just don't want to give any grape. They would have a fit if somebody go on a vineyard and just pick one grape. They would have a fit, right? And that's what the problem is. It's not, so it's not necessarily the money, it's the Frankensteins that get created because now they have money power. They can break the law and they can get away with it because they can just keep dragging it out forever and then get these powerful lawyers to get them off the crime. So it becomes equal right and justice for those who have money.
Yep. Yep. The love of money is the root of all evil. That's what Bob said, right?
Well, that's what Horace or one of Horace understand, but it's not necessarily because it wouldn't change me. It hasn't changed me because I realize also, well, you have to go meet Jamaica, you have to leave all your jets and everything behind, and you're gonna right back. Every again, mutual respect, come back in. Death and time doesn't have any preference, and karma never go on over and take a rest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Karma never takes a holiday. And the worst one is slow karma because when you think you get away with it, hey, trust me, before you have to go reach your maker, it's going to reach you. So
Yep.
I wish to see a world where the politicians become team players.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And solve the basic problem of mankind. Eat somewhere to live. If you want a house with 20 bedrooms or 100 bedrooms, they can afford it. Hey, go right ahead. But you also create a system that the common people, which is actually the muscle of the United States, is not the Jeff Bezos and all that, is the people who work for him. The people, that's who really keep the economy going. Yeah, it's not the Jeff Bezos, it's not the billionaires of the world that keep things running. It's the common people,
Mm-hmm.
the bus drivers, the janitors, and all that team of people. So you need to create a world with, hey, you're a bus driver. Well, here's a house that you can pay for in a reasonable time. Okay, you have the money like Jeff Bezos. You want to go have $100 million house this month? Hey, you can have it, but you can have yours too. But create a world and an environment that everybody can come out and talk, not just the 1%ers because they want to feel special when they need everybody else to make them to do their job to make them successful. That's what the problem is with money because yeah, just imagine everybody in America is driving Lamborghini. And whenever you see one, you in turn because everybody has one.
Yeah, yeah. Man, if you guys are just tuning in, we are just having a killer conversation with Hopeton Brown, aka Scientist, the Dub Master. You listen to it, simmer down, 90.3 The Rock, WTKRadio.com/listen. If you want to tune in all over the world, we're really having I'm having a wonderful chat with you. I've chatted with a lot of artists and every single one of them I love. I won't chat with an artist that I don't love and respect fully to the most. And it's absolutely just a wonderful chat. Just a few more questions for you, and then we'll let you get on to your day. What you got coming up, real quick? Are you got any more work? Or, any artists we should know about that you're going to be working with? Any tours, anything like that?
Well, I've got a show. Right now I'm in New York. I just finished a show at the Brooklyn Net. Down here and in within your time zone, we're just taking care of some business. That Paul McCartney, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson remix that is coming out. I have to go back to California to make some music for this person and contact me in Sweden. And what I find nowadays, I've been mixing everything more than reggae. I've been mixing all the different genres other than reggae.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that. Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's yeah. So I thank God for getting up this morning. I wish I have many more. And again, people, it's not the amount of money or success that you have because one day when you go to meet your maker, your maker doesn't care how much trillions of dollars you have, what
Hmm.
color you are, how
Yeah.
famous you are, because there is really no debt, right?
Right.
Debt
Right.
is a myth, but when you have to go finally meet your maker, none of that material stuff doesn't matter. How famous, how much money you have. You go and just be judged on one thing. Were you a Frankenstein or were you a good person?
You're right. And you know what? This is interesting to me. I didn't know if I was going to touch on this or not, but let's do it. Frankenstein, the album covers, it's there's Halloween. I mean, we have this thing called Simmerween we do annually, and it's such a blast every time we do it because it's all dirty dub, and it seems like dub and spookiness and all that kind of energy kind of complement each other. Is that where the Frankenstein comes from, like the politicians and stuff like that, or is it kind of more of a holistic thing?
When he's here talking about the curse of the evil vampire is the politician them and the evil of the world. You have some greedy people live in the world that they want to possess other people things,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then they go to any means necessary to possess other people's property. And again, because they want to be elite,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have to have these earthly possessions just because they want to be looked upon different. Where at the end of your time, it doesn't matter if you're a king, queen, a gardener, it doesn't matter. And the richest person in the world, if you say, give me all your riches, well, most of them won't know to survive without it. But most of them, if you say, give me all your riches and I give you the next 50 years, I bet most of them probably would give it up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I okay, so these spooky kind of things are, it is directed kind of at all these people, like why are you doing this? But there's this positive kind of like, just help each other, behind all this dirty, dark, not all the time dark, but just dub. It's spooky.
Um, we live in a very spooky time, especially like what we see going on here in America. Again, what's causing it? The politicians them cannot get it together. When one side is right, the other side can say yes, they're right. Let's find a way to do it. It has to be this back and forth thought, and this bickering and what we see going on here. And as a result, we're not getting anything done. And then the rest of the world is that there's stupid people when they call themselves Americans. Oh, look at them! Look at how they fight amongst themselves,
Yep.
right? And it's part of our problem here.
Hmm.
Uh, and again, some people, your enemy will see you have something on your back that not supposed to be there, dirt, something, and they won't say anything to you. Who's going to say to you, hey,
Mm.
turn around, man, there's something on your back, some mess, something. Hey, turn around and take it off. Is your friend.
Mhm.
Right. So I hear this. Well, why criticize America? Why you don't go back to Jamaica? Well, the reason why I don't go back to Jamaica, I love America. So if I see a fault, I'm just pointing it out so it can get better. I'm pointing out what the problem is.
Oh man. Now I know why your name's Hopeton.
Yeah.
What just so positive, so positive. And that's what we wanted to do with this interview. If you guys, are just tuning in, man, rewind because some serious words beyond reggae music, beyond dub, have been spoken by Hopeton tonight. We really, really appreciate you. And I got two more questions for you, and then we're gonna get you out of here. Okay.
Okay.
So, what is the future of dub?
But dub right now it's future listener. um, can I predict it? Based on what we see going, is becoming more popular. What I've also seen, the dub outlive the east side that it was a part of, and with it's now fitting into what we've seen, especially with the next generation. It's more fitting into their world more than ever.
Hmm.
It's timeless. Well, the next other thing with dub, right? I developed a technique, right, that doesn't care how much time you listen, it's always going to sound a little bit different each time. It's unpredictable. All right. Versus when you sit listening at A side or singing side, well, you know what he going to say next, but with dub, no, it's unpredictable. There's elements in it that make you hear it a little bit different each time.
Because it's spooky, man. It's different. It's weird. It's wacky, and that's what I love about it. Hey, it's been such a pleasure to chat with you. I've got one more question for you. And every time I interview somebody for the first time, 99% of the time, I'm not always chatting with reggae artists, world artists as well. The show Simmer Down is a reggae and world show, and me and Blue are very thankful and grateful to have that opportunity to not only promote and find and love and encourage listening of reggae music, but world music, because there is so much more than just in your one little area, wherever you live in the world. Always explore, right?
Right. Like I can't just eat Jamaican food. Sometimes I get sick and tired of my own cooking. I want to get a different flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Here we go. Ready? It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. You can check scientists out wherever. It's scientists. Go find him. You'll figure it out. Spell scientist, put dub after it, and that's your man. One of the OGs, man. Just such an absolute honor and pleasure to talk to you, and especially talk to you in such a positive, hopeful, happy, conversational, good time. What does reggae mean to you?
Well, reggae mean to me um, finding ways to bring the world together. All right, that's what my hope is from music, finding ways of to influence people in a positive direction. As you just mentioned, um, is world music. Some people like reggae, some people like whatever, and everybody's entitled to like what they like. But for all the musicians of the world that have this positive influence or have influence on people, who want them to turn it into positive influence or whatever genre they're listening to, we can help to plant positive seeds in people's head, both the media, the television, and everywhere. Because you see, here's what we find. I come to the conclusion it could have chosen anybody else. My talent that I got, I could have choose you, but for somehow it chose me. So I get to find out that we have been programmed.
Mm.
Some people just got programmed by bad things and they do very bad things. Some people get programmed by positive things so that there's a positive light in the world. So I hope to see other musicians spread the positive light. That's the thing that everybody kind of listen to and adjust to. I haven't really met anybody that said they don't like music.
Mm.
I don't think, I don't like that person. That person either. So I want to see a world where a positive. I want to see a world where all these different politicians stop with their weapons of mass destruction. Every one of them.
No more booms. No more booms. No more booms. Only in the mics. That's
Yeah,
it.
only the mic and the speakers can go boom.
Yep, 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 yep. Thank you so much, man. Wow. Just I on these Zoom calls, it's like you have 40 minutes, time restraint, whatever. And man, we had a lot of things to talk about, and I've never actually stopped and added another section of the Zoom, but it was absolutely needed because it's scientists, man. Hopeton, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. So next time we'll talk. Bye bye. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Peace and love. Remember, everybody, mutual respect. Stay positive, stay kind. Don't be greedy. Listen to scientists. Dub music forever. Peace.
All right.